Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and returning from his short or long hiatus, alive and well. You're not there with Wilson over on some secluded island by yourself. Mr. Brian E. Roach. Brian, what's going on, man?
How you doing, man? I don't know. I definitely was not on a secluded island. I might have liked that.
Yeah, well, isn't it like you're the get off the lawn type guy? You hate old people, equal opportunity.
Next time I'm gonna wear my shirt that says "people," not a fan.
It reminds me of I'm a fan of Clerks. You know, Kevin Smith, View Askew-averse or whatever they call it. And there's a quote in that movie. I think it's Jay says it, Jay and Silent Bob, and he goes, "I hate people, but I love gatherings." Isn't that ironic? Yes. So I do love gatherings. We love to gather with the Pittsburgh Steelers here. We're here, brother. It's almost training camp time. Almost. I could taste it. I could smell it. I could smell the whatever grilling in the air. You know, I had one of the listeners / viewers ask, I guess he was coming over to Acrisure Stadium. I didn't get to ask you about this. What do you think about ketchup balls? You don't care.
I don't care.
Not in the least.
If you believe the name of the stadium is going to somehow impact the aura, the environment, the outcome of the games,
it does.
It doesn't. You're nuts. You're on drugs. You're smoking crack. I don't care. Yes, I'm glad they took the ketchup bottles down, because it would have been really dumb to have the Heinz bottles spill into the red zone if there was no Heinz.
But I was hoping for, at the very minimum, that they were still going to do just the Heinz red zone, maybe. But they'll probably just do it on the scoreboard without, you can't have all the branding where it still said Heinz Field, and I guess the ketchup bottles would be worth 10 to 12 million or whatever Acrisure is paying for the naming rights there. So
150.
Yeah, it was something insane. You okay there, man? You're like hunched like right over. You feel like you're coming like right into my screen. Brian up close in. Yeah, that would be TMI to a whole new level. I think I just saw your tonsils there.
I don't have any, so you couldn't have.
Oh, okay. I still got mine, man. I got like 3 of my 4 wisdom teeth too. Pretty crazy. Just fun fact. Medical information about Joe that you didn't necessarily want, but you're getting it anyways. Today's show, we're going to piggyback. I don't know if you watched Me and the Flash earlier this week. We were talking about why everyone has the Steelers as underdogs, and we were kind of, everybody's overlooking the Steelers, even though they were a playoff team last year. And really, the massive change, obviously, is transitioning over from this guy, Big Ben Roethlisberger, to, well, we actually do not know at this point, and we're going to find that out. But I tend to think, just to kind of preface this program for those who may have not seen the last episode, there was kind of a consensus of, was 2021 Ben as good as maybe even 2018 or 2017 Ben Roethlisberger? Or could any of the 3 quarterbacks currently on the roster, a rookie Kenny Pickett, veteran Mitchell Trubisky, or the developed Mason Rudolph, who's been sitting there lying in wait for his prime chance to just strike.
Still stroking that Mason Rudolph line. Developed.
But can the offense actually be worse? Can there be an uptick or an improvement, considering all of the other items that were addressed in the offseason?
Here's the bottom line. The answer is both. Yes, the offense could be worse. It could also be better. I don't know enough about how they're going to perform in this environment. we call Mason developed, but Mason has the same problems that Ben had. He hasn't
development. The guy you drafted to develop.
But he's developed now over we talk about this all over the place. Oh, he's gotten so many, offensive coordinators or quarterbacks coaches, and things have changed on him a million times. Same thing's true of Mason. He hasn't had a consistent piece, so I can't say whether he's going to be good for this offense or not good for this offense until we see how training camp goes. I know what my opinion is, which is I'd rather see Mitch, but we'll see.
Well, he's penciled in as QB1 already. We know that. It's just a matter of, does he flop at some point or get injured or something else? Someone in the comments just not too long ago called him a porcelain doll, actually. And, he had some time where he got banged up and Matt Nagy played Nick Foles instead. And then he just went with Nick Foles and had a healthy Trubisky inactive. That's kind of part of the reason Nagy is there. Everybody's like, oh, he made it to the playoffs or a Pro Bowl as an alternate, mind you, for Jared Goff. Say both of those in the same sentence, Brian. Pro Bowl, Jared Goff, and alternate Mitch Trubisky. But in spite of Matt Nagy, but it was Matt Nagy made a lot of other poor decisions, and they should have won a playoff game. Don't forget, you had the basically the equivalent of like that Pepsi can commercial that they did with, what was that, Cody Parkey, I believe, that missed that field goal. So they had that year. That Bears defense was lightning, and that's kind of what you're hoping for, at least there. That Trubisky could carry it, but again, 6 of those touchdown passes of his 24 just in one game, and only like on 20 some passes. The defense was first against yards, first against scoring, or maybe third against yards, first against scoring, first in turnovers, etc., etc. So if you get a Steelers defense that could do that, your hope is that Mitch Trubisky could be at the minimum a game manager, and this is a playoff team. We're not saying Super Bowl contender necessarily. We're not trying to really like call our shot out there and pointing like Babe Ruth and saying, nope, this is a Super Bowl contender, where I've seen people say that with even the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not that far off my rocker, but I'm saying this is a team that at least had a baseline of making the postseason, winning some games that they should have won last year, they needed to win, or also, they lost some games that they could have won for a variety of reasons. It could go either way. And you had Baltimore with a lot of close games, a lot of losses and that too. It'll be a competitive division, and that's what we're going to look at today is the various schedules and try and put some pen to paper, even though we don't have Deshaun Watson news just yet. I'm going to assume they're going to be missing him for at least half a season from the rumor mill that's out there. Yeah, fair assumption. What I would prefer to see, and I'm not trying to get into this too much, 8-game suspension isn't enough when you're playing a 17-game season. When they were playing 16, that's half the year. You got to go 9-10 now, with no reduction, if you're going to at least slap for half a year. If
you want my take on it?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is my take on it. Regardless of whether he played for the Browns, whether he played for the Steelers, or whether he played for the Ravens, 7,000 billion women are accusing him of whatever they're accusing him of. He needs to not play, period.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally with you. I'm just trying, for the sake of this exercise, say, well, if he's gone half a season and they got to roll with Jacoby Brissett, or they're working out, who'd they bring in? Like the who's who of journeyman backups, A.J. McCarron or Josh Rosen, who we were just talking about. So that's part of the equation here. Also, just to flip back with Ben playing with Kendrick Green as his center and maybe Trey Turner as one of his guards, and that you got to hope that the offensive line play. This is something Mark Cabali just brought up the other day on, he was a guest on the NFL XM radio with Todd Haley and Solomon Wilcots, by the way, which was kind of cool to hear Todd talk about that. He's the one who mentioned, some of the changes with the offensive line should help whoever the quarterback is as well. Not only keep them upright, maybe not have to rush passes, maybe deep balls, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of hard for me to fathom how the Steelers could actually be worse with a lot of the 3 and outs. He also made a point, Todd Haley, in all fairness here, that Ben Roethlisberger was able to cover up a lot of those deficiencies as well. So you just got to hope those deficiencies aren't there and they can install some things in the playbook that they weren't able to do last season. So we could see how some people are just saying, well, Ben's out the window, out the door here. This is the last place team in the AFC North, even though they've never been the last place team in the AFC North since its inception. 2002 was the realignment, I believe? Or was it 2004? It was one or the other, whichever year the Texans came in the league. I think it was 2002. But anyway, The Cleveland Browns have not won this division ever since it's been renamed the AFC North. They have not won the division that they were in since it was the AFC Central back in 1989. That's a very long drought for Cleveland, and it's really hard for me, with or without Watson, to kind of put them on a certain pedestal. We talked about the Ravens having to hope that a lot of their injured players come back and are healthy and are 100%. And can the Bengals stay healthy for the entire season? That health and that luck really played a gigantic factor into their success last season. So without further ado, Brian, why don't we dig into the schedule here? We'll try and come to a consensus here on win, loss, or otherwise, and then we'll mark it up here at the end of the show. So why don't we start with the Steelers, because that's going to be the important one, because we could carry their schedule over to the other three AFC North teams, since that's 6 of the games on the schedule.
Sure.
And take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Week 1 at Cincinnati. Pretty simple. I'm not very big on September football. Mike Tomlin, new quarterback, also playing against a team that was just in the Super Bowl, has most of their players returning, and should have their you-know-what together. I'm going to chalk that as a loss on the road in a hostile environment.
I don't know how you can reasonably expect anything else, right? This is the Super Bowl participant from the AFC, at home, opening the season. We tend to play badly in September, always. So,
yeah. Well, they beat Buffalo
I just don't
on the
know
road
how
to start.
You ever say anything else?
They beat Buffalo on the road to start, so it's like, but I'm going to try and be fair. I think it's going to be, I don't know. They got to put it in the right playbook. It's going to take some time to gel that offensive line, as well as whoever the quarterback is.
I mean, could they go in and win? Sure, they could go in and win any given Sunday. But a realistic expectation is, yeah, that's a loss.
I'm totally on board with you there. Let's jump in, since we got a lot of these to do. It's going to be a little more rapid fire than what some of you are used to here on our show. Can't get in there. We can't do a pregame for all of these games, especially when we don't know all the X's and O's. But at home against the opening up with the New England Patriots for the first time at Acrisure Stadium. This one for me is really a coin toss. It could go either way. Bill Belichick has said the same things that Mike Tomlin has said in the past about September football being an extension of the preseason. They still have a lot of change there as well. You still have Mac Jones. I don't know if there's really going to be a lot on film of whoever the quarterback is. I'm at a coin flip here. I'm not exactly sure which way to go with this one.
I am probably still leaning towards they lose this game, especially if New England's defense is anywhere near as good as it's been the last couple years. I don't care about their offense. I just don't right now. But if their defense is up to snuff, I still see the Steelers as potentially struggling, trying to find their identity, trying to figure out, as you said, the O-line, figure out how their offense is going to play. I'd lean towards loss, even though I'm kind of with you. I think it could go either way, but I'd lean towards they end up 0-2 here.
Yeah, and it could be 0-3 because you're going into Cleveland for a Thursday night football game. Now, the bigger question is, as we have already mentioned, who's the quarterback for that game? And I don't know if it matters on a short week. You've played probably 2 hard and physical games against two opponents that they've always played the Steelers tough, with the Patriots and the Bengals. Could they be 0-3 at this point? And we've kind of alluded to that. They could win. Jacoby Brissett. I mean, they beat Cleveland on the road last year. They had a lot of close games. I don't believe, no matter even if it's Watson or not, I don't believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers, or not the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the Cleveland Browns are a better team than they were last year. And I mean, I sincerely mean that, with or without Deshaun Watson. And let me explain. You still got a lot of second-year players you hope don't fall in a slump. There's been a lot of jazz about like the secondary and stuff, but they've let some players go. I'm trying to figure out some of their stuff with their defensive line, minus Myles Garrett. You trade for Chase Winovich. Clowney's back, sure. Defensively, how much of a headache are they going to give the Steelers when Dan Moore Jr. only gave up 1 sack to Myles Garrett, who, by the way, you want to talk about ridiculous things that people bring up. The Madden ratings, they just do not like the Pittsburgh Steelers whatsoever either. You can't give TJ Watt a 99 overall. He is not better than Myles Garrett is not a 99 over TJ Watt as a 96. I'm sorry.
I'm going to spin this a completely different way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep disrespecting TJ Watt.
Yes.
Please just keep doing it. Everybody else, a PFF, you bunch of wizard weirdos, Madden, keep telling him he's not as good as he is. Just keep doing it. I'm all for that.
Yeah,
TJ, you suck.
He's the lowest ranked defensive player of the year in like the last 8 seasons on Madden. Like, that's just so ridiculous to me. It's just exactly. It's about respect. I don't really care about the game so much as the respect shown. Don't worry, they buried Shamar Chase. I think they had him like 16th overall with the wide receivers too. And I get he's entering year 2, but geez, that's just so whatever. And I do think that as far as Cleveland, defensively, they'll be better than I think offensive team. Because even if they had Watson, there's a lot of moving parts there that they got to figure out. And I don't think Amari Cooper, who's been in regression every single year, it's the same thing over as what we said with Odell Beckham before when they added him. Donovan Peoples-Jones as your 2 probably, or Anthony Schwartz potentially, or David Bell, David Njoku, who they gave like a huge contract to, who isn't even putting up Freiermuth numbers yet. I don't know. I'm not so. And of course, they got to change at center as well. They got Conklin coming back from that injury. I mean, they got guys on that offensive line. Is Jedrick Wills still gonna progress as a tackle on the other side? Is Conklin gonna come back, be healthy? You know, the year older and injuries, and we saw this happen with David DeCastro. So I am trying to be fair and reasonable, but it's very tough for the Steelers to go on the road on a Thursday night and go up to Cleveland and defeat that team, no matter what the circumstances could or should be. Now, when we put this side by side with what the Browns got to do, they open up on the road with probably what's going to be an emotional game against maybe Baker Mayfield against Carolina, but they get the Jets before they have to play the Steelers. So I think they could overlook the Jets for that matter, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I got an L here. The Steelers could be 0-3 or 1-2 at this point. I think you might agree with me.
Yeah, I think that's a fair and reasonable assessment of how the season starts.
Steelers will get the New York Jets themselves, though, after this in a mini bye. And say what you will, the Jets had an awesome draft, but 4 weeks into the season for a team that's already been pretty bad, and a second-year quarterback with Zach Wilson that, he's been average maybe at best. The Steelers should be able to win this game at home. I think this will be their first. If they've lost and gone 0-3 to this point so far, this is going to be must-win territory, and they're going to pull this one out.
I don't think they're going to lose to the Jets.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just checking, brother.
To the Jets.
Okay, so we've got the Buffalo Bills on the road, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home, Miami Dolphins on the road. Just some of the observations that we've made in the past. They could win in Buffalo. I don't know that Buffalo is going to allow that to happen once again.
I think unless Buffalo regresses heavily this season, I think that's a loss. I mean, you're talking about a team that probably should have been the team that the Bengals had to play as opposed to the Kansas City Chiefs if it wasn't for just absolute wackiness and craziness. I expect them to be better this year. I don't think that they're beating. I don't think they're going to take 2 games from Buffalo in 2 straight seasons. Buffalo's going to be annoyed that they lost the one, and I think they probably lose that game.
Yeah, we're treading in dangerous territory, as you can see.
Getting close.
You have an L for the Buccaneers too?
I do, but they could win that game.
They could win that game. As crazy as that sounds. My prediction
is TJ Watt chooses this game to make a statement to all the haters.
Okay.
Who all have their noses up, TB12's bootay. And I don't know. I'm not calling it a win because they probably should lose. But
No, I hear you loud and clear. And where we're treading is we got maybe 3 coin flips already in this, because we're saying if it's Jacoby Brissett Thursday Night Football, that could be a coin flip. We're saying the Patriots at home to open. You never know how that might be able to turn out. But if is the Bucks really the coin flip? I don't know. You're saying so.
I'm not saying it's a coin flip.
Yeah.
I'm just
but
saying
I know
there's
it's
a chance.
Yeah, you never know. And again, this is just, we're speculating here. We're trying to get an idea where they could end up. Could they actually be in the basement? This is going to be a disappointing show, folks, because they don't win in Miami and they don't win in Philadelphia. Some things got to change.
They might pull off the win in Miami. Why? Because Brian Flores is going back there. There's going to be incentive for them to be. Minka's not going to be happy about Miami to begin with either. They're all going to want to prove something in Miami. I'm actually putting Miami in as a win. There is zero chance. I said this the last time they played in Philly. I will say it again. They're not winning in Philly. They never win in Philly. They stink in Philly. They won't win that game.
That's fine. Well, I'll mark it as such. We got a bye week that's right here, right in the middle of the season, where we could even see the quarterback change. And we saw this with the Ravens and Joe Flacco, actually, when they moved over to Lamar Jackson. So if they do make a change here and the Steelers make a switch, well, it injects some positive energy into this team. And looking at the schedule, I think after a bye and hosting the New Orleans Saints, and get 2 back-to-back home games, I think this is where maybe some of the good fortunes turn around for the Steelers and they get some things together and they realize at this point, Brian, we could have them with just 2 wins, like 2-6 or something on the season, which is quite disgusting. And everybody's going to be counting them out. But I think that they can right the ship here. And I think they could also they could split Cincinnati home and home. I really do believe that's realistic. And let me tell you why. I'm not sold on the Bengals defense. I think they had a lot of overachievement last year. As long as the Steelers defense doesn't have the same, and I'm going to say that no matter what it is, PFF, Madden ratings, TJ Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick are game changers. And you didn't have Watt, and really in both of those games, I think he played like 1 half against the Bengals last year. And even Minkah came out of the one game. We saw that most of the problems the Steelers had last year is when they didn't have TJ Watt. Obviously, they didn't have Tuitt, or when somebody else, Minka or somebody else came off the field, Joe Hayden, for example. So you got to hope that some of those things are improved. I think that in this case, they could split. I think they could split with everybody in the division. We already gave them an L or maybe a coin flip, all depending, with the Browns on the road. Let's take a look at right after this, though. Indianapolis Colts.
I'm going to just tell you.
Go ahead.
I think they lose both games to the Bengals.
You think so? I'll put it in there. That's fine with me. I'll do it. We still got a little bit of fluctuation, but yes. I think they could win. Here you go. You've got November Matt Ryan on a Colts team that doesn't have a whole lot of weapons aside of Jonathan Taylor on a Monday night game. Steelers usually perform well in primetime. I want to give them a W. They play at the Falcons as well. It's the Falcons. I want to give them a W. And then we're going to turn around here and host the Baltimore Ravens at home. And that's a game I think they could win also. They could put the streak on here, man.
I'm just going to tell you. They're going to get swept by the Bengals, but they will sweep the Ravens.
You know what? I like that take. I'm not entirely sold on the Bengals. Their offensive line still, they're moving in the one guy over from guard that they brought in to center. Everybody's got a new center in the AFC North, by the way, which is pretty interesting when you take a look at the whole picture. And still with the tackles, is Stanley going to be healthy? They brought in Morgan Moses over from the Jets. He's a good player. So I expect a little more from him. They should be a little strong along the one side with Zeitler. They have no wide receivers. You got to hope that Rashad Bateman can hold it up. Mark Andrews is a dude, but still, like, there's only so much of that I'm willing to tolerate. And by the time you get down to the nitty gritty of this, as we look at the rest of this schedule, so Baltimore Ravens, you're saying sweep. I'm going to put it in already, even though we're not all the way down there. But emotional game against the Raiders at home. Immaculate. I'm sorry. Skip the Panthers on the road against Carolina.
That's a win.
I think they could win there. There'll be a lot of terrible towels in that stadium. Yep. You've got the Christmas Eve Immaculate Reception 50th year anniversary against the Raiders. That could be a win.
I think it will be.
Yes. We're turning this ship around, dude. So far, we only have them after the bye losing 1 game and winning 7. And the final game will be against the Cleveland Browns.
And I think they'll win that game,
at
regardless
home,
of who the quarterback is.
At home. So as bad as this looks, at the beginning of the season, I think we have them 2-6 at the beginning of the season. And then, am I doing the math right here? Let's see. How many W's do we? Overall, they're going to get to 10 wins the way we have it right now. That's with the coin flips, 2 of those being losses early in the season against the Patriots.
Is that with a sweep by the Bengals, or is that with
no? That's no
your
sweep.
Team?
I have them losing at.
Right. That's what
home.
I thought. I have them at 9-7.
Okay. Well, we were flipping here with the Dolphins, so I have them losing the first 3 games of the year. And
that's right. Okay. So maybe I have them at 10-6.
Yeah. And it's not going to be 10-6. It should be
10-7.
10-7 if we've got this all the math right. Yes, 10-7, 7 game season. Yep. I was trying to bring it up on the screen, but it's just really an ugly Excel sheet, folks.
Yeah, don't look at it. It's horrible.
This could be a ±3 the way we're looking at it. So we have one of those as a win and 2 of those as a loss, where we kind of marked it in that column. Now we're going to go forward, and we're going to take a look at put this up against the Cleveland Browns schedule. And let's see here. I just got to do some quick copy pasting so we can carry over those wins, losses. And here we go. Cleveland Browns getting into the regular season. No, I do not want to subscribe to Cleveland Browns alerts. Thank you very much. At Carolina against perhaps Baker Mayfield. I don't think there's any way in hell they win that game. That's going to be a loss in the loss column instantly right out the gate on the road, probably with Jacoby Brissett. Now, I'm going to have to underline this, that if it's an 8-game suspension, they have the same bye week. So they're going to play 8 games before they get to a bye as well. And then we can maybe throw Watson in here and see if it makes any world of difference as far as their fortunes. I'm not sure. I'm not certain that it will or won't. So are you with me on the Panthers? Because then they got the Jets at home week 2. I think that's a win.
You see, here's my problem with this. Yes, that's Baker Mayfield. Yes, there's some revenge factor there. Yes, it's in Carolina. I don't think much of Baker Mayfield.
Well, you know what? It doesn't matter if they have Sam Darnold. I'm going to sit here and tell you the same thing. I think Carolina's the better team. Healthy Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore. They got some guys there that could really hold down the fort.
Guys. But if I'm taking that into account, I can't easily steamroll the Steelers over them either. So I don't know.
Yeah, but we're talking Jacoby Brissett.
In the Panthers quarterbacks. That's my problem.
I
don't have faith in Baker Mayfield, and I don't have faith in Sam Darnold. Okay. I have no faith in either one of them. And because of that, unless Christian McCaffrey can go wild, which if the defense is okay, I don't know that will happen. I don't think they lose that game.
Wow. Okay. Hey, you know what? I'll switch it for you if you want.
You can mark it as a loss in your column. I'm gonna let them win.
I have it as a coin flip, and I will edge it as a W just for you, my friend, because you know what? You were halfway across the world, and we haven't seen.
Okay, very kind.
Let's take a look at. Let's continue. So we had the Jets as a W at home. It should be. I still think the Jets are going to be a basement dweller.
Yes,
no doubt about that. So we have them defeating the Steelers. So they're going to go 3-0, and just everybody's going to start with the Super Bowl campaign.
To just be fast, I think they go 5-0 and then lose their asses to the Chargers.
Okay, let's fly down here. That's fine. They're going to at the Falcons, of course. 4-0. And then thgoing to go, let's see. I'm sorry. I got it stuck here on the screen.
Yeah, you're right. 4-0.
Marking it up.
4-0 before they lose their butts.
Yeah, so that's fine. They're going to lose their ass to the Chargers. At home against the Chargers. At home against the Patriots, too. And that could be very well the same kind of... Bill Belichick, if he's up against Jacoby Brissett, I don't think loses that game.
I agree with that. I mean, because it's what we are considering suspension time, I'm marking that as a loss.
At the Baltimore Ravens.
They lose.
At home, Monday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals.
They can't beat they never beat the Bengals. They
whipped their ass last year. They dropped like a 40 burger on them, though.
They did. That's true.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think they win that game.
And they came in and just surprised. They shocked everybody, myself included. That's why I thought the Steelers had a chance last year, and then the Steelers act opposite. I think maybe
they got just smoked.
They were just they didn't want to be embarrassed again. So, are we marking them as a win or a loss against the Bengals? At this point, they could be dropping. Now, let's take the momentum thing into. Let's take the momentum thing into account here. They play at home. They just played on the road against the Ravens. Now they do get an extra day to lick their wounds, but when you get done playing the Ravens, and now you have to play a Bengals team.
I don't know. It's the Battle of Ohio. It's I don't. Look,
We'll leave it a coin flip.
If Burrow's hurt and he's not playing, they win. That's the way I'm going to play.
Oh wait, so you're giving the Browns a loss then? You're saying the Bengals?
I'm giving the Browns a loss. I don't think they're going to.
Oh, okay. That's what I had initially. You're confusing me. Okay, bye week, 2 road games. So we're going to go over to. Let's see. There was the Bengals bye week, Miami Dolphins, and Buffalo Bills. So
I think they probably. I don't know. They could beat the Dolphins and lose to the Bills. The Bills is a loss in my mind. The Dolphins, I'm a coin flip on. They don't have the emotional impact that the Steelers are going to have going down there. It's in Miami.
After a bye. It's after a bye.
It's after a bye.
And will Watson be back?
And even if he is, it's first game.
Yeah. So you think you're going to lose?
I could go either way. I could go either way.
You can go either way. Do we want to be nice and give them a W or just give them a loss?
For Charles, I'll give them a W.
They've already lost 4 in a row. They went 4 in a row, and now they're back to 4. They're down to 4-4 on our schedule.
So now they go back to 5-4,
and then they're back to 5-5 with a loss at Buffalo.
And I think they lose to the Buccaneers too.
Yeah, we can put that right there. It's kind of tough. So again, they're gonna flip. They got to go to Houston. And I don't think Houston, even though they are a bad football team on paper, will be as bad as what people believe.
Yeah, they're still not going to lose that game.
They shouldn't. On paper, they should. Again, this is a lot of on paper. And now we're going to boomerang back around, and they have to go to Cincinnati and then host the Ravens. So do we have any splits for them in the AFC North? Can they win on the road?
The Bengals. I think the Bengals will sweep them. To be quite honest, I don't think the Bengals are going to lose a game in the AFC North. So there's that.
Okay. Ooh, very nice. Okay, man. There you go. You're bringing the heat here. I see the smoke.
And that makes me want to vomit, just to let you know.
If they stay healthy, I still think there's a chance.
There's always a chance, and this is just speculation, but you know.
Let me speak. Jesse Bates isn't there. And let's say Trey Hendrickson gets hurt. They don't have Ogunjobi was a large part of that pass rush last year, too. So,
stop saying somebody gets hurt. You can't say that part.
Well, wait a minute. But of course, but they had name the major injuries that the Bengals had last year. The only guy they lost, they were already in the postseason contention with Ogunjobi gone. Now they do have people that could fill in there. They have another edge rusher with Osai. So, there's things there. But Eli Apple is why they lost or were having problems. And also, it doesn't hurt that Ryan Tannehill will willingly give Mike Hilton the ball. Didn't even realize he's wearing stripes. Yeah. So that's got to take some of that into consideration. Will they be the top of the AFC, the entire conference? They could very well if they can handle the division.
I don't know about that.
I think Buffalo will be.
Yeah, I think Buffalo or Kansas City. I'm sticking with those. But
well, I'm not with Kansas City just because of Russell Wilson's in Denver now, and you look what the Raiders and the Chargers have done on their rosters. You got Khalil Mack with the Chargers, and Devontae Adams is there for. I don't know that's going to help.
All right, well, we're off topic. But okay, so I think they beat the Texans. They beat the Texans. They lose to the Bengals. They lose to the Bengals. They might split with the Ravens, so they might win that game.
Where you at, Brian? I can't see.
I'm over here.
There you go. It's like
look, I got to be off camera if I'm going to say the Browns are going to beat the Ravens. All right, it's just the way it is.
You can see your reflection in all those helmets over there.
Yeah.
So okay, but we have them losing to the Bengals. Do we have them beating the Ravens at home?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Okay, beating the Ravens at home, beating New Orleans Saints up next at home, back-to-back home games. But after, I don't really know what to think of the Raven or the Saints, but they play the Ravens. It bangs you up. Do we use the same logic or no? They're still at home. I think they can beat the Saints.
They can beat the Saints. They should beat the Commanders, and then they lose to the Steelers.
We could tally this up really, really quickly here. So the Steelers we had at like a 10-7 record with a little bit of wiggle room. We had the same amount, maybe of. Let's see. We had 2 coin flips. I know we were arguing a little bit maybe over the Ravens. Maybe they have 3. Let me see what our magic numbers. 4 wins to begin, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we do have them behind the Steelers. That'll be 9-8 record, kind of matching where they've been the last few. Just kind of towing the line there. We're gonna have to copy some of this over. I'm gonna have to do my quick thinking, put the thinking cap on. No, Ravens, I do not want to subscribe to your alerts. Baltimore Ravens, that's preseason. They open on the road against the New York Jets. What a layup there for. That's just so ridiculous. I really do have a major problem with the NFL not giving the Steelers a home opener for so long in week 1. It's just it peaked. It really peaked. So let's take a look here. Ravens, and we'll have to see. We'll have to pencil in some of what we had. We had at first. Let's put some of these in. So we have the Steelers playing. We have the Steelers sweeping the Ravens, correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
At least I do.
Okay. We have the Browns getting swept by the Ravens or splitting. We have them splitting.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I have the Bengals sweeping the Ravens.
And the Bengals sweeping the Ravens. Let me catch up here. So let's see. So they will lose to the Bengals in both spots. There we go. Let's take a look at the rest of this. At the Jets, I don't think that means a hill of beans. Dolphins at home.
At home is a win.
At Patriots.
Probably a loss.
Home against the Bills.
Well, I still think that's a loss.
I think that's a loss too. And then as we zoom down here, we already said the Bengals. Bengals will be a loss. Giants will be a win. Browns, we already said, will be a win for the Ravens there with the split. Even if I have it wrong on this sheet, regardless, it's a split the way we marked it. They got to go to Tampa Bay.
They have to go to Tampa Bay on after an AFC North game and on short rest. They're going to probably lose.
Yep, I think that's fair enough. As we keep taking a look, they got to go to the New Orleans Saints before a Week 10 bye week.
I think they win the next 3.
Okay, so they on the road at the Saints, host the Panthers after the bye. Yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, come on, bro. Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a W for you. It's just.
I think they will lose to the Broncos
with Russell Wilson. That'll be interesting. I'm going to say that's coin flip. I'll put it as a loss. You're saying it. We have already gotten down to that they're going to
lose because that's what we said.
Yeah, lose to the Steelers.
Beat the Falcons. Lose.
Wow, look at that. So they're gonna fall apart again at the end of the season here. Is the way we got it. They're gonna lose.
That's the way I got it.
Yeah, they're gonna lose 3 of their last 5. That's a pretty interesting assessment here. But we're doing this rapid fire as we said, and trying to go through. So let's see what we've got. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins. They're going to finish worse. We do have one coin. We only said the one coin flip because we didn't go too in depth with this, but that's pretty interesting. I could probably give them a plus or minus 1 or 2 just because it's the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah,
and it's Lamar, and some of these teams aren't maybe equipped to defend him. But
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think he'll finish this season either.
Ooh, hey, you know what? I'm picking up what you're putting down. But I got some different looks at this.
And
there's a lot of rumblings with J.K. Dobbins not being healthy too. Already.
Let me tell you why. This is how mobile quarterbacks start to go downhill. They get hurt. They come back. They get hurt. They come, and they're not the same. And I'm just saying this could easily be the beginning of the downslide for Lamar Jackson. And I'm not guaranteeing any of that. I'm not positive he's going to stay healthy all year.
Yeah. And it's fair enough because I know we just homered and gave the Steelers like 10 wins, but we also said they could be 8 wins, 9 wins. It's Mike Tomlin. He's never been lower than 500. Steelers have never been in the basement. This is the AFC North cannibalizing each other for the most part as well.
Yeah.
So we had, let's see if we were concerned. We didn't have or we didn't mark at all that the Bengals were losing to any of these teams on the other 3 schedules.
That's correct. We
So
did not.
we're gonna go into this Bengals schedule now.
6-0.
Yes. Yeah, right off the bat. So let me bring up their schedule. Here we go. Have questions? We should have fun with this. Just do it like a live show and start with the virtual assistant on the Bengals.com website and just go on and have a conversation with it and say, here we go. By the way, they do not have a name sponsor for their stadium. And I don't think it's just because of out of tradition or anything like that, but maybe they'll get one if they have another successful season here. And we're kind of have them, or we've already hedged them as the favorites in the AFC North by virtue of beating everyone else. Even if there's a tie record, they're in. They're going to be number 1. So let me see. I had this up. Bring it back up because I was in the preseason. That's interesting too. I mean, the Steelers have some trips in the preseason. So there's teams like the Cardinals are coming to Cincinnati and the Rams are coming to Cincinnati. Those are some trips, man. That's like Jacksonville. The Steelers got to go down to Jacksonville. It's interesting. And the Steelers also have Seattle in the preseason, making these West Coast teams travel in the preseason. The AFC West teams. That's pretty intriguing.
They should be over here in the cold.
Yeah. It is kind of unbearable on this. How about that Friday night preseason game? Anyways, regular season, like we said, they opened up with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We already have that as a loss at the Dallas Cowboys. Cincinnati Bengals and Cowboys. Boy, there's an intriguing one because I don't have the highest of opinion, but the Cowboys should be favored. It should be them and the Eagles over there with the Giants and the Commanders.
Yeah,
in the NFC least.
Look, I'm going to probably caveat this for most, unless I see something as we go through this where I'm like, no, that's definitely they're going to lose that game, that the Bengals are going to be a coin flip on most of the tough games. Like, they could absolutely go to Dallas and win. They could absolutely go to Dallas and lose. Partly that's because you don't know which Bengals defense shows up. Partly that's because you don't know which Cowboys team shows up.
Yeah, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. That's the way I feel.
Because it's Dallas at home.
And it's probably their opener too, I'm guessing.
Win.
Yeah, I'm guessing. I'm going to go with a loss there. Just get them 2-1 and get all the Brownie fans excited about starting like better off or whatever, maybe 2-0 or whatever. The Bengals are going to go face the Jets next in New York. Yeah, there's no way they should lose that. Thursday night, hosting the Dolphins should be a win. We already have them at the Ravens winning at New Orleans. And I don't know. I can't say with a new coach and Jameis Winston off the injury or I don't know what the Saints are doing this year.
It's a win.
I think their team could be like in the same kind of turmoil. But that should be a W.
Falcons is a win.
Yeah, Falcons at home.
Already got Browns as a win.
Panthers at home.
They're going to roll through a lot of this schedule until they get to the Titans because I don't think they're going to lose to the Panthers. They're not going to lose to the Steelers. And then the Titans at the Titans.
Yes.
Being the key.
Revenge game,
I think they will lose.
Revenge game. So let's get further down the schedule here at Pittsburgh. We've got a lot of W's. If you're listening and you happen to be a Cincinnati fan, this is some good news for you, even coming from some Steelers homers here. So, lost to the Tennessee Titans in a revenge game. That game should not be a 1 o'clock. That game should not be a 1 o'clock CBS game.
No, it should not.
That's got to be changed.
Watch that get flexed.
It's got to be either flexed or like one of those trades where it goes to like the 425 slot.
Yeah.
That is just that's disgusting with the schedule. Here's the other thing with the Bengals that wasn't considered is their strength of schedule is going to be tougher this year. They're going to have to play a lot of teams that finished in first place last season, and they're going to have to play a lot more prime time and later games. They don't have all these Sunday 1 o'clock games like the Steelers have on their schedule this year, like the Bengals did, finishing where they were from a last place schedule last year. Finishing from the previous year before, of course, they were in the basement. And so they played, I hate to say inferior opponents, because like we said, there's a lot of parity in the NFL. But yeah, Cincinnati follows that up, and they have to host the Chiefs. And I think that could be an L too. It
I'm
could go
going to
either
make
way.
that a loss simply because they did beat the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs will want to have a little revenge. So I'm going to go with a loss there. We already haven't beaten the Browns. I think
Well,
they'll
hold on.
lose.
Come back to the Chiefs. I think wasn't that a McPherson like 50-some yard field goal to ice that game too?
Yeah.
That was still a rather close one. So I mean that will be a coin flip. But you say losing to the Chiefs or beating the Chiefs?
Yeah, I say losing to the Chiefs.
Okay, we already said they beat the Browns, and
They will lose in Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay and New England on Christmas Eve.
They'll beat the Patriots. They'll lose to the Buccaneers.
Okay.
They'll lose to the Bills,
way.
and they'll beat the Ravens.
So now, after we take a look there, that's the way it finishes off. Man, two home games to finish off.
Yeah, that's some bull.
Yeah, that really is. I'd like I said again, I'd like to strangle whoever the schedule maker is. So as we go through this, just one loss in their through week 9, which is 8. What I was talking to you about this off the air. Brian has like one of these IBM keyboards that's from like 1993.
No.
That's the way it's built.
Very high tech, ultra expensive gaming keyboard.
But it's literally made out of, what did they used to use? Like
made out of steel, my friend.
Bubble gum and shoelaces is what they, and like the hard plastic you can't recycle is that's what the keyboard's made out of over there. As he bangs like a rabid animal. 12-5. We have the Cincinnati Bengals at 12-5 on the season, winning the AFC North probably handedly. Brian says it's a sweep, so that seems to be. So what are the Steelers? This is the topic. What are the Steelers' chances of finishing last in the AFC North? Well, we figured out that we have the Brownies. Where's the Brownies at on here? Maybe at like just trailing or competitive. We have Steelers at 10 wins.
We currently have both the Ravens and the Browns underneath the Steelers.
We do.
I think we have the Ravens last.
we do, and that's where they finished last season, which was, I think, also a first for them, also with the AFC North. I'm not sure they've ever finished last, because whenever they were down, the Browns were like really down, or the Bengals were really down. So it's a really interesting race here, where we think the Steelers, 10 wins should be playoff contention. It's going to be very difficult, however. Like I said, you look at the AFC West. Somebody actually proposed this on one of the shows I listened to somewhere, and they said, could all of the AFC West teams make the playoffs? And the way things are currently set up, they could, but it's very highly unlikely that third team does, based on division schedule and tiebreakers.
Unlikely.
It would just unravel. You would have to have, let's say, the common opponents over in the NFC or whatever, the AFC North teams are all playing whoever, and the AFC East all playing whoever, losing a lot of games to the other conference. It just doesn't seem like it would balance out that way. I think it most likely could, when you look at this and we're saying, well, the Ravens might still be down, the Browns might still be down, the Steelers could be down, as everyone's kind of got them downtrodden. You take a look at the East, could the Patriots still be down, the Dolphins, the Jets? A lot of people are really, 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 really propping up the Dolphins, and they're putting everything around Tua, and I'm not seeing it, man. I'm seeing the same thing, like I said, with Mayfield. And by the way, with Mayfield, we said before, like, remember when we compared Eli Manning and Odell Beckham the same exact way? And it's kind of the way it still turned out. But I still think, even if Deshaun Watson comes off of this suspension and they can win them some games, maybe, he may not. He maybe just so rusty or not good. And then he's been playing in a dome.
When's the last time that man played football?
2020, with the COVID season, no less. And you go over to that, and now you're going to put him in Cleveland in December, where he's used to playing cushy in Jacksonville if it's a December game, nice weather, or Indianapolis has a dome stadium, and of course Houston has a dome stadium, and Nashville, Tennessee, they could get their inclement weather, but you're still not above like what the Mason-Dixon line there, where you're going to get a lot of the lake effect and everything like that. It's just that stadium doesn't play well.
One of the many reasons I would not have pursued Deshaun Watson is simply this: he hasn't played in forever. It's a different environment than what he's used to. You're now taking a mobile quarterback a improvising quarterback and putting them outside instead of in more comfortable environs. I'm not convinced Deshaun Watson's going to solve their problems. I'm convinced more that they spent a hell of a lot of money and gave up a hell of a lot of capital to not be anywhere near the top of their division and maybe not in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I know someone's going to come on and they're going to say Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. They're talking about the run game, but the whole entire point of getting Watson was to improve your quarterback position. And I don't think if he's not playing, you definitely didn't improve it. And if he doesn't play well with rust or inclement weather and they can't throw the ball, you're going to have the same results or maybe worse based on maybe some of the players that they've lost in the offseason too. If
they are going to get benefit out of this deal, I don't think it's this season. I think it's next season, but we'll see. That's just my view, and that's not even me hating on the Browns. Honestly, not. I don't care who would have gotten him. I would say the same thing. You're investing not for this season, for next season, because you knew coming in you were going to lose him, if not for the whole year, for a good portion of the year. And, he hasn't played in 2+ years. So I just don't see it.
I mean, Baker, let me see. Baker, 134 yards. He had a rushing touchdown. I was looking more or less at like Kareem Hunt wasn't healthy last year. We know Chubb wasn't healthy for part of last year. Yeah, they still have D'Ernest Johnson. They still have the backs, but how much? I mean, we're kind of hedging the bets on the Baltimore Ravens. Like they're going to have to run the football. And we're going to talk about people that are on the hot seat because Greg Roman there as offensive coordinator might be on the hot seat if Lamar gets hurt or isn't putting up any type of improvements in the pass game. And yep. I'm going to say this as well, Brian. I think Kevin Stefanski, because you're talking Jimmy Haslam and you're talking, they're nuts. They'll fire Andrew Berry as a GM and get rid of Stefanski as well too, even if Watson is suspended the entire season. I mean, it's very likely they could do that if they don't make the playoffs.
I'm going to lean into the thread that you and our friend Charles had and say, I don't know enough about the inner workings of the Cleveland Browns. And so if, in fact, Haslam has divorced himself from the Browns and his wife is really making more of the choices, I don't know. I don't know that they will be as unstable and erratic as they have been in the past. If Haslam is still making shots and calling shots, yeah, any of that crap could happen.
I mean, yeah. It's going right back to Lerner, the previous owner. I just think they're going to get too trigger happy and be pressured. And how much longer can the Cleveland Browns? I read this in one of the previous season guides. How much longer can they sell season tickets just based on tradition?
Forever.
Look, they have no recent tradition.
Flip this script. I know that their tradition is not. If you go way, way, way back, all right, they have a championship tradition, but that's pre-NFL, merger with the AFL, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Since then, not so much, right? And if they go through forever, yeah, they'll sell season tickets because there are fanatics everywhere. There are Brownie nuts who are just like Steelers nuts, who are just like Raiders nuts, that will buy their season tickets. Will there be an 18-year waiting list for season tickets? No.
Yeah, but put it this way too. It's like, how much longer do you keep buying season tickets if they have a terrible season? They made this move for a quarterback, and I want him to play this year. And this is why I want Watson to play this year. If he doesn't, I'm hearing that his contract tolls, and then that means that the Browns get off the hook next year for all this guaranteed money. And they get to pay him that $1 million peanut salary that they built in so he doesn't lose any of his money to suspensions and fines, which I think is complete. You know what? You don't want to step in it. I think that stinks. I think that reeks. And I think that's why the NFL should lay the hammer. However, suspend him and let him play 4 games this year. And then the Browns got to eat all of this and start making some tough decisions. And everybody talks about restructuring contracts and they could, create money here and the cap goes up. Look at the Steelers offseason last year. they're lucky that they were able to weather the storm, and Ben took a pay cut, et cetera, but they lost Bud Dupree, and they lost Mike Hilton, and they lost some of the linemen, and some of that was retirements and injuries as well, and you just can't keep them all. It's not Pokemon, and that's going to happen with any of these successful teams. It's going to catch up to the Rams here eventually too. When you rip up not only Deshaun Watson's contract and give him all of this guaranteed money, which I thought was dumb. We talked about in the offseason with the Steelers and whether or not they made that move. It would be stupid of them to not only give up draft capital, Brian, but that contract was dumb. But now with all that guaranteed money, and then they did the same thing with Amari Cooper. I just think eventually it's going to catch up to them. But let's table that for another day, my friend. Thank you for joining me once again and giving the people the content that they want.
I'm honored and touched that they would actually want me to be on.
And I am just stupefied and confused. Yeah. The 2%ers that are still out there. Peace. We love you too. Don't forget to like, comment, jam on the subscribe button, leave the ratings and reviews. And until next time, my name is Joe Kuzma. His name's Brian E. Roach. We'll be back at you. Training camp right around the corner. So be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.